Hi there guys, welcome to my live watch along to and my first watch along to F1 qualifying. It's the qualifying for the Eifel Grand Prix at the legendary Nurburgring in Germany. No, they're not going down the 128 corner Nordschleife as they did back in the 70s. It's too dangerous now these days. Mad circuit, and I'd love to go there one day in a car and go around it, but yeah, they're going around the Grand Prix circuit, um, and a return to the Nurburgring after 7 years out. Its last Grand Prix held here was 2013, and ever since then, the German Grand Prix has been on and off like a yo-yo due to the lack of funding since the German government doesn't fund the Grand Prix, help fund the Grand Prix anymore. In fact, the actual German Grand Prix last year was funded by Mercedes themselves, hence why it was named the Mercedes-Benz German Grand Prix. But yeah, the big news story is obviously Honda. After joining in 2015, their horrible run with McLaren, then switching engines to um, Toro Rosso, before then adding them to the German to the Red Bull team. And when looking like they were about to build a package that could eventually challenge Mercedes, they have now announced that they are pulling out of Formula One. They are pulling out of Formula One at the end of 2021. So Red Bull are now been left in the lurch. Where did they go? Did they go to Mercedes? Did they go to Ferrari or the other or Renault, where they had a mighty sort of fallout before a fallout that meant that they didn't even call the Renault engine towards the end of its time in 2018. They called it a Tag Heuer engine. So yeah. Other news is Lance Stroll is not well. Um, yeah, third practice session, he did not do. Yeah, he did not do the third practice session due to an illness. They don't say it's COVID related. So Nico Hulkenberg, who's already the first driver on the circuit, is going out, and this, yeah, and they've only had 1 hour of practice since yesterday. Both practice sessions were cancelled due to not the fact that the helicopter couldn't, the helicopter in at the Nurburgring couldn't take off. It could, but the problem was is that to get to the hospital, nearest hospital, is a 45-minute flight, and they can't um, fly to the destination due to the low. Being able to see means they couldn't get over mountains to get to that location. So yeah, they can, because of that, it meant the cars couldn't go out in case someone did have an accident and they needed medical attention that required hospitalization. Um, so yeah, so a number of drivers are already. It's interesting to see who does well in these temperatures as well, because all this weekend they've been moaning about that it's been very cold. Um, Track temperature at the start of practice 3 this morning was 4 degrees. The air temperature was 8 degrees. Right, more woolly hats than the normal caps instead of that they usually wear. So yeah, Realist AC said to be on in this minute. So yeah, he'll be joining me soon. Get your predictions in. Who's going to get pole? Do you think it's going to be the usual, or do you think these temperatures and the fact that the track's getting rubbered in all the time, because it's what they call a green track at the minute, which means it's hardly been run on, which means that as the more running they get, the faster it will go. Can someone use these conditions to their advantage to spring a surprise? Can Red Bull man a serious challenge? Or do you think Mercedes, especially with their DAS system, will dominate as well? Because the DAS system is to help them keep tyre temperature whilst building up for a lap, whilst behind the safety car. So in cold temperatures like this, it's going to be ideal for them. It's good. Ah, so yeah, I'm glad to see the Nurburgring back on the F1 calendar. Right, I think it should always be on the F1 calendar. It's like the one of the most iconic circuits in the world, especially because of the fact that you've got the Nordschleife, which is the 128 monster circuit, where back in the days of the 60s and 70s, you had teams going you had the cars taking off 13 times, and you think that was back in the 70s. Imagine the speed of cars you've got nowadays. You've got, imagine the circuit these days, the cars these days going around and all just lever, they'd be taking off not just a little bit, they'd be taking off hugely into the barriers. And it's just not possible now these days to marshal it and do all the safety standards that we have today. So, but in terms of driving a road car, you can always go down there and instead of going on the autobahn, go down there. But yeah, Hamilton and Bottas immediately fastest with a 1:26.7. Do expect these uh, times to tumble down as the session goes on, because as I said, the track is green and the track will be getting faster and faster as the race goes on. Maurice, how are you? Stephen, I had uni yesterday, as I'm only in once a week, have to communicate by train far away, and it's really hard to make friends on campus. Any advice? Um, my advice is try and just try and be yourself. Just like when I first got to uni, I was sort of worried about getting back into socialising and that. And the best way to be is just to um, just sometimes maybe just set up a conversation where you find some common ground, find some common interests. And I mean, the first induction day we had, we came up with immediately what our small group did in our accounting course did is set up set up a WhatsApp group to help each other, so that way we can always help each other if one person's stuck or one person's doing really well. So yeah, just be be yourself and just ask them ask them what their interests are, or like just asking them to see if there's any common sort of um I mean, there's no harm in asking anyone anything. So yeah, I mean, for me socially, I'm not very good myself. Socially, I'm not the best. I don't have a massive amount of friends, but I have enough. And most of the time, those friends are my friends because of me being myself. So yeah, it's more just don't try and act like someone you're not. Just be yourself in your own way. It's the best advice I could give. But Verstappen has just gone fastest with a 1:26.3. Um, um, later on today, I will be doing a watch along to the England versus Belgium game. 5 o'clock. We'll be going live at 4 12:40 p.m. So an hour and 40 minutes after this session, this qualifying session. So yeah, at the minute it's Verstappen first, Bottas second, 2/10 behind, with Hamilton 3/10 off the front running pace. Leclerc fourth, and Albon in fifth. Obviously, it's the first time I'm doing this qualifying watch along, so please let me know if this is worth continuing or not. Yeah, just let us know if you want to continue with this or whether just do the race instead. Well, as we see Sebastian Vettel going through the last corners, instead of going left onto the Nordschleife, he goes right for the last corner, back onto the main straight, and he goes ninth fastest with a 1:27.7. Further down the order, we've got Norris in seventh, Sainz in 10th. McLaren's also celebrating World Mental Health Day and supporting the charity Mind. And Norris has done a special helmet and that, raising support for World Mental Health Day, which during this pandemic is like so much more prominent than it ever has been. And Marie's again, also Stephen, why are the Premier League charging so much money for games but pay per view? I think they're trying to recover in probably money they lost through the fact they've got no fans going to the stadiums. I mean, yeah, they've got so much more. I mean, our tickets. I mean, Arsenal's tickets, for example, are a lot of money, and in any way they're trying to recoup the money they've lost. Any way they want to do that, they'll try and do it, and this is one of the ways they're trying to do it. And I think it's probably. I'm hoping if they are doing that, it's going to go to help teams further down the ladder, right, in League One, in League Two, because we can't lose the bottom leagues of the of English football, right? Because it will cripple English football for good. We need those teams in those lower leagues to survive. So I'm hoping if they are doing that, it's going to help fund keeping those teams afloat. Few things to do for work. Okay, no worries. If not, this session's only an hour long. So I'll be doing this session and then having a breather before doing the next session, next stream, which is England versus Belgium, which will be live. I'll be live at 4:40 for that. 4:40, 4:45, somewhere around there. So in the bottom zone at the minute, the elimination zone, because if anyone who's not familiar with qualifying in F1, they have 3 stages of knockout qualifying. And the first session, you lose places 6, you decide places 16th to 20th at the back of the grid. Then the next session, you decide 11th to 15th, another 5 cars. Then you get the top 10 shootout. Also in the second session, the tyre you set your fastest lap on, if you again get used, if that lap gets you into Q3, you then have to start on the tyres, on those sets of tyres that you've done that lap on. And everyone 10th below you gets a free choice of tyre for the start of the race. So, but yeah, and then you've got the third stage where the top 10 all go for a chance of qualifying, and you also get an extra set of tyres, because times before where teams that have gotten through know they're not going to get pole, so they'd rather sit in and save the tyres for the race. So they give you an extra set of tyres to go and do a lap, but those tyres aren't available for the race. So, but Kvyat going for the last chicane before the last corner. Very bumpy last corner as he comes out of there, and he's 7/10 off, but goes 5th with that. So as you can see, the times are coming down gradually as the track gets faster and faster. Stephen, your house looks nice. My house. Oh, thanks. I mean, our house is, yeah, it's not bad. It's got a massive garden and yeah, decent sized rooms. I've got my bedroom's decent size, but it's usually always a mess, to be honest. But yeah, decent sized bedrooms as well. So yeah, it's a decent sized house where we live. So Hulkenberg just snatching a break on the way down to the chicane before the hairpin. So just losing a bit of time there. Norris coming down that main straight with that distinct new helmet. Just excuse us for a minute. Sorry, I might have to eat during this stream as well. I haven't had any lunch yet and I'm starving. So Norris currently in 10th at the minute. So McLaren last 2 races have fallen a bit behind, and actually during the washout of yesterday they showed a graph of working out over 80-second lap who's managed to develop their car, who's developed their car well and who hasn't, and everyone's made gains on their car. McLaren haven't made too many gains compared to like Renault, hence why Renault have sort of jumped in front of them. But the only team who haven't gained in terms of development is Ferrari. They've lost. They've got worse. Right? So, yeah. Marcus, how are you?
Good, but I can't really come on today. I was going to come on, but I can't. I'm just going to watch it on my own.
Okay, what about England, Belgium?
No, I don't think I will. But I wasn't going to do that anyway. But no, I just think I was going to come on saying I think Verstappen's going to get pole.
Okay, what do you? Any particular reason?
High speed corners. That's just his kind of track, isn't it?
Yeah, but you've also got the slow horseshoe of the first sector. But then Mercedes have been quite dominant in both areas, to be honest. But I think it also depends who can be last out, because the track's very green, so the track's getting faster all the time.
Also, if it is slow speed corners, maybe the Red Bull will help him out there because short wheelbase.
Yeah, well,
high downforce.
yeah, you got a very good point there. And that, just like I just said earlier, and he's gone. Okay, yeah, I mean, Red Bull have made obviously gains, but what it didn't show is that obviously it showed that obviously the fastest being Mercedes, but then it didn't show a graph to see if they've gained anything as well. So as much as it said at the top they're the fastest, they could have well made gains themselves as well as Red Bull. So um, though Red Bull have made gains, whether they've made more gains than Mercedes, we don't actually know from that graph. So, and unfortunately, as the session draws to an end, Giovinazzi just scrapes through, but his teammate Raikkonen in 19th, Hulkenberg 20th. I can expect that from Hulkenberg. His first lap was this qualifying session because obviously with Stroll being ill, that wasn't announced. When it was announced, it was too late for them to be able to swap drivers to give Hulkenberg some time on the track. So it's put Hulkenberg at the back of the grid. Raikkonen 19th, Latifi in 18th with his teammate, and we will line up alongside Russell in 17th. And then Grosjean, one of the Hasses, is out in 16th. Haas again having a very poor season. They had a very good season in 2018, but since 2019, where they had a car that did well in qualifying, but suffered in races, they haven't been able to sort of this season be able to develop a car that's good in both sessions. Hence, probably why their driver contracts, there's 4 spaces that are not bound, and there's potentially around about 8 drivers that could take the spots. You've got Grosjean, Magnussen, and Raikkonen and Giovinazzi. Then you've got the likes of Mick Schumacher, who should have been doing the first practice session yesterday, but because of the weather and the helicopter situation, he couldn't go and do it. You've got Callum Ilott, who should have been in the Haas in the first practice session, but obviously with that being cancelled, he couldn't, which was a shame. So I'd like to see Schumacher in the German Grand Prix. Obviously, 20 years on from his father's success in Ferrari in 2000. And one thing I do hate about that is that everyone bigs up like Schumacher, and he should do because he's 22 heads in front, points ahead in front in the F2 Championship. But don't put so much pressure on him because he's got the Schumacher name. Let him have his own career. Right? What Schumacher has done for Formula One is statistically beyond imaginable. Right? 7 titles. Right? The fact that even Hamilton's been able to close down on that is unbelievable. Right? But yeah, you got to let him have his own career. Right? Don't put pressure on him. Let him find his path. Right? And I'm sure that's exactly how Schumacher, Michael would have put it to his son. You've also got actually in F3, I think it's Mike Schumacher, which is Ralph's Schumacher's son, which is Michael Schumacher's younger brother. Marcus, yes. What do you make of that first practice session? Then you got Grosjean, 2 Williamses, Hulkenberg, obviously his first time out in qualifying on the circuit was qualifying, and then obviously you've got
Well,
19 Twickenham.
or Hulkenberg. I was like, can they change? Can they are they allowed to take penalties? Because obviously, if you're in 20th, you might as well take engine penalties or something. Are they allowed to take penalties if if let's say Perez, sorry, um, Lance Stroll, can he take penalties for Lance Stroll?
Uh,
Like for new, like something to do with the engine or something.
what the engine do is down to that car. Is so whether Hulkenberg, if Hulkenberg decides to switch the engine, that will be his. It will give basically Stroll an extra engine for the rest of the season. Sorry, right? Because the engine applies
In
to
20th,
that.
you might as well take a penalty.
So it doesn't matter who's in the car, right? In the next session, in the next Grand Prix, right? The extra engine will apply to that side of the garage. So that car will get an extra engine for the rest of the season if Hulkenberg took an extra penalty. But with 17 races, I don't see the point unless there's a specific real issue they have because these engines are so reliable.
Or even just something like a component or something of the engine, like the MG UK or something.
Yeah, you've got the controlled electronics and the there's another part, the turbocharger, engine, um,
Or the
NGK.
turbo or something. So just replace something.
I think it's the
MGUH.
MG. Yeah, the MG. You got two parts of the engine that are you only get. There's two parts. There's six parts in total. There's two parts where you only get two sets of them, and the rest you get three.
Yeah.
Now for the ones where you only get two, if you decide to take an extra one for that, I can see the point in that. But for the others, I don't see the point since these engines are built to last like the whole season anyway. Out of the three that you get, out of the specification you get, and they've got Mercedes engines as well, which are the most reliable.
Mm,
So
yeah, this year they are. This year they are.
yeah, they've been like that since 2014. They've been the pioneers in it, hence why they've been so dominant.
I'm really like I'm happy the German Grand Prix is back because Hockenheim obviously last Grand Prix last year for a long time probably. Just happy that we've got
Yeah,
German Grand Prix,
yeah,
especially if Vettel was retiring, which he's not anymore. But if he was retiring, especially because I would like him to like go if he had a race that year on like home soil.
oh yeah. He actually won the last Grand Prix at the Nurburgring in 2013, where
I don't know if
Raikkonen.
he likes the German Grand Prix so much after 2018.
He probably doesn't like Hockenheim, but I'm sure he loves the Nurburgring because that's the
He,
only time he's won the home Grand Prix.
he did quite well. I mean, his strategy was awful, so was Hamilton's last year because he was running in first. He finished fourth, I think, but he overtook Hamilton. He had a really good race, but strategy won too
Yeah,
many times.
last it came out last year that throughout that weekend Hamilton was running a fever, and I think if he didn't have that, he wouldn't have probably made that mistake in the second last corner. It's the second to last corner that really screwed it up in the pit stop after that. Because yes, he put it in the barriers, but he still had enough time to get in the pits and make the stop to change the front wing. But then
Yeah.
for some reason, Mercedes didn't have a clue what they were doing. Like whether they couldn't work out what guys they wanted him on, which meant it took 50 seconds. I mean, I know they were
It's just
celebrating.
it's because
Like,
Netflix are there.
yeah, well, maybe.
Or whenever they dress up, one of the two. Because I think at Monza Netflix are with them, aren't they? Or Marinette and Mugello. One of the races,
Mm.
they were with Mercedes when they did really badly. No, it might have been Russia actually.
No, it was
Monza.
German Grand Prix, and the one time before that, because it was called Dark
No, I mean
Days.
this year.
Oh, this year? Oh, I don't know about this year.
Yeah,
They
no,
were
they were with them. They were with them either at Monza or Russia. Might have been
well,
Russia that they were with them,
yeah.
and they basically filmed Hamilton getting all these penalties and stuff. I think that's what it was. Or it was Monza when he got that massive penalty.
We won't know until it comes out.
Sorry?
We will know when the series comes out.
Yeah. I think it'll be really good this year actually. But I don't think they filmed the first few races because they couldn't. Because it was still too like COVID safe.
Right. Yeah, just give me a second.
The Red Bull's doing so well. And
Yeah,
Albon, well, I mean,
I'd say that, but obviously you've got. Give me a second. Yeah.
short wheelbase and high downforce. That's what it is.
Yeah. But I still think you've got Hamilton and Bottas, and they're on the medium tire, right? And the reason for that is because practice 3, despite it being so cold, the soft tires, because of the track being so green, are graining, so they don't want to be on
Especially in Mercedes.
big moment for Valtteri
Oh,
coming out the hairpin.
what time are you? I'm 9 minutes.
Yeah, I've just seen the Red Bull come back in the pits. I'm seeing a replay of Vettel, but
What minute are you on?
I don't know. I'm on. It's just showing a replay. Just gone under 8 minutes. Just gone under.
I'm on 8:43.
Yeah, but Mercedes have gone to the medium tire. They'll still go out because obviously the track is improving.
It's
But
evolving so quickly.
yeah, because it's green. But the problem, I still think they're holding back something in reserve because Hamilton was quicker during practice 3
But you know
on the
what
short
it is?
run.
It's the fact that they don't have that enough. Like they're almost using Q2 because they know they're going to get in as like another 15 minutes of practice. Just because they got to get some data, for like the strategy and stuff.
I wouldn't say that originally because, like, for example, like they know they've for say like this, they want to use the medium tire because that's the best tire to start on.
Ferrari have got mediums too.
Yeah, but they're gonna have to go out on the soft tire.
No, they're not. They're fast here. They're fast here. I think they can get in on the mediums.
They're not.
Especially Leclerc. Leclerc can. I'm not sure about Seb, but Leclerc can. Charles can get through.
In terms of their actual development, they've got worse.
Oh, Valtteri. I think Valtteri just gone out on the soft actually now.
So is Hamilton. It's just in case if the track evolves.
Yeah.
Because it's very possible.
I would quite appreciate if Albon did well today. I'd appreciate it if Red Bull got a good strategy for him and, didn't put him second to Max like they always do.
They've been testing and practice some sort of with a testing chassis, some way of him getting extra speed out of the car.
You know what? I think next year it's gonna be tighter than people think. I think Red Bull are gonna figure out a way how to get some extra points or something, or extra upgrades to the car, or one massive upgrade or something, which will allow them to win more races.
Yeah, they need to start with a car. They need to start with a car that's not 3 tenths behind. Because so far, the last 3 seasons, everyone's been going on about, all right, this is their time now. They're going to challenge, but they've always been 3 tenths behind them.
No.
They need to. For Mercedes, the reason they start off and they continue to dominate is because they've got a car that will start off fastest at day one. And if you're fastest at day one, all you're going to do from then on is develop and get faster and faster and faster. And it's a lot harder to catch a team up than it is to stay ahead.
It happens every year, and it's because people are deluded. Red Bull or Ferrari always get good first result, and there's a point where it just starts falling away. And I think that was just after the British Grand Prix where it just got further and further away. Don't get me wrong, Albon has stopped Red Bull from even challenging for the constructors. But Max could have got potentially. There's always a point in the season where it just drops. They drop off, and maybe that's because of the season layout. But through this year, it hasn't been, and I think it's just because Mercedes always have a little secret or something.
Yeah,
apart from maybe 2018 with Ferrari.
Hamilton, I think as well, is that it's not so much Mercedes because Bottas gets to a point where he starts dropping off as well, right? And it's just Hamilton's got that stamina of being able to consistently put if he's not winning, he's in the top three, right?
Yeah.
And if he's not the top three, he's in the top five. He's always making sure he is being as consistent as possible during the season. So that way, if he does miss out on a win, he is not missing out in terms of points.
Hamilton just went fastest. Obviously, you've already seen that, but Max gonna have to go. Well, he won't go out again. It's not Q3.
Well, he's on his out. Yeah, he's gone out again on his out.
I've just for
everyone's going out again.
Oh, right. Max is gonna get pole. I think that's gonna happen.
No.
Max is gonna have to get pole. If Max gets pole, I think it'll be a better chance for Bottas, even if Bottas is third, to beat Hamilton. Just because Max is great at defending, and if Hamilton gets caught up in dirty air, he'll have to pit earlier because tyre wear or something. I think even if Hamilton comes second, Max getting pole is good for not just Max but for Bottas as well, and also the fact that between second and third, let's say it starts where they qualify, it ends where they qualified. There's less gap between Bottas and Hamilton points-wise, so he can still claw it back. I mean, Hamilton's still going to win, but especially at German Grand Prix, I would not like Hamilton to get Schumacher's record. I don't think he's a better driver.
What?
Can you hear me?
You can put him on this. You can. No, I'm sorry. That like, I'd have to say he's on the same level.
I don't think he's as good as Schumacher.
I think he is. And the reason I say he is because, right? Yes, he joined a McLaren that was already fast as it was, right? But
Yeah, I
you
can
see
agree on that.
you see the drop off from McLaren after Hamilton left, right? When Hamilton joined Mercedes, they were nowhere. When Schumacher joined Ferrari, they were nowhere. Within a season, they were winning races, right?
Yeah.
And by 2000, right? Give it, well, maybe it should have been earlier. Schumacher would have been should have won the '99 championship if he didn't break his leg, right?
Yeah, coming off at Stowe, wasn't it?
Yeah, and
Came off at Stowe and broke his leg.
yeah, and same with Hamilton. He's won it in his second season with Ferrari, with Mercedes, and again, he has built that team like Schumacher did with Ferrari around him. Toto Wolff, Lauda, Hamilton, right? Schumacher, Ross Brawn, John Todd, right? They've built their team around him. So,
right.
that shows that shows the kind of level of driver that you're dealing with, because he's got the capacity to be able to develop not just a car but a team around him.
Yeah, well, okay, fine, but
There's some drivers that will
also
just go in the car and drive.
it was harder to win in a Benetton than it was to do in a McLaren.
I think.
I'm not saying that Benetton was like really slow.
I think at the time the Benetton was the faster car, but there was a lot of sort of like the black flags that didn't help. Being docked points didn't help. He should have had that title wrapped up by Adelaide anyway. In '95, he dominated. That was clearly a much better car and team set up there.
Okay, but still, the McLaren, like, also, what I don't like. Okay, every driver has a good amount of money behind them, right? Every driver has a good amount of money behind them. But the fact that Hamilton went from McLaren to Mercedes, that's the only two teams he's been at. That's the only good, like at that time they were very good teams. He's only been at good teams. Whereas, I mean, I'm not saying Schumacher wasn't just at good teams, but Hamilton has literally been in a capable team. They both have been in capable cars, but Hamilton even more so, I think, just because.
That's what I'm saying, in the same level, because Schumacher was in a Benetton that was winning races and in championships. Hamilton was in a McLaren that was winning races and championships. Then he went to another team that were not winning races and championships, and before you know it, they were winning championships and races anyway.
No, I think that actually, without Schumacher, Mercedes wouldn't be anything. Without Schumacher, Mercedes wouldn't be anything. When he went to them, he did more than just got every now and again a podium or something. He actually was.
He set
foundations for Mercedes there, and you have to remember, like.
I'm not saying he didn't, but I'm like, but you can't deny that what has happened with Hamilton and Mercedes is the same as what Senna did with McLaren, what Niki Lauda did with Ferrari, what Jim Clark and Lotus was, what Schumacher and Ferrari was, and when he was also with Benetton, right? There's been a number of drivers when have been able to take a team that's done nothing, right, and just existing, and grow a winning team around it.
I
Right?
just think that don't think he's
I'm not saying
as good.
there's some people. The great thing is that you're not right or wrong in saying that Schumacher's better than Hamilton. He, but the thing is that you can't say that definitely can't say they're not on the same level. They're very close.
I'm just gonna listen to what Hulkenberg's saying because he's just come. Q3 should be starting in like the next 5 or so minutes. And we should see where the Ferrari is good. I'm interested in the Ferrari.
Vettel's out.
Now he was 3/10, 4/10 of Ocon, Leclerc. He was faster in practice. He looked like he was faster than this in practice. So did Seb. I think he finished 5th in P.
Yeah, but you
FP3.
sometimes with practice is that teams could be just be because especially the fact that you've missed FP1 and FP2. It could be just down to the fact a lot of teams are splitting their drivers up, where one driver is doing high fuel and one driver is doing the whole session low fuel. So you've got to like take that with a pinch of salt because people could be on different strategies.
One of the McLarens had like a special helmet or something.
Yeah, it's to support them one Mental Health Day and the charity Mind.
They did it.
What McLaren are doing.
They did a video a few weeks ago when they did their helmets. Don't know if you've watched it. They did their helmets with Mind. They just did loads of paint stuff. I watched it and yeah, I recognized the helmet. So that's interesting.
Well, yeah, because it's Mental Health Day today.
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't yesterday. But it was yesterday. No, but
If Vettel was with Mercedes, he would be. Nah.
No.
No. Wayne makes too many mistakes.
If you were saying 2018, 2017, I'd
No.
believe you. But nowadays, no.
Even then, he was making too many mistakes.
No, I don't.
What happened in those seasons? What happened in those seasons? It came down to right mistakes. And Hamilton said it also in that season. This season is going to come down to who makes the least mistakes, and Hamilton made the less mistakes.
Well, here's okay. When was Vettel in his peak? Also, if he goes to Racing Point, do you think he can win another championship?
Yeah, but even if you look during the seasons during his peak, there were times where he was not consistent or making mistakes that he shouldn't be making. So,
Right.
but yeah, I think
Look, Vettel is
um,
very picky in what car he has. He wants a car
no,
with a good
the problem is that the back
good rear
the
end.
problem the problem is that in the V8 era you had these cars compared to the V8s are very nervous with the rear of the car.
Yes.
That's why you see
Yeah.
him losing the back end so many times.
He's just picky with his car, and I don't think that's a problem. I think, like, let's say they had traction control. I think Vettel would be
That
faster.
just ruins the sport completely.
I know that takes a lot out of like the skill, but with like traction control, I think he wouldn't have made a lot of mistakes. But obviously, you can't have traction control because it's F1.
Well, yeah, I mean, what's the point in like racing if you've got a car that will do it yourself? I mean, the whole
Okay.
point is the whole point of being F1 World Champion is that you're supposed to be the best driver on the planet, and
Yeah, but
the best driver on the planet shouldn't need traction control to be able to do it for him. That's why they took
even
it
like
away in '94.
I don't think that Hamilton's. I don't like Hamilton. I've grown to him, but I still don't like him. That's why I think Vettel. I really think Vettel before 2018 was a better driver than Hamilton. But I mean that's my choice. I think so because I like Vettel because I don't like Hamilton winning all the time. And I know that Vettel won all the time, but I only really saw 2 years of that, and I thought he was a very good driver in that time. I don't think that because of Hamilton, because all the cars around this time there's much more difference between, let's say, the guys behind. I don't know if that again is because of the
How
drivers,
that
but
means you've got a dislike.
pace.
It's not Hamilton's fault, right? That's not his fault.
I know. I'm not gonna change my opinion as Norris goes purple. Doesn't mean anything, but Norris is purple for sector one. But I just like Vettel as a driver. I think certain tracks he's much faster than Hamilton. I'll just say that. I think if you gave him the same car at certain tracks, Hamilton would win. Let's say the F1 calendar was different, and they had other tracks, then it would be different.
Bottas is fastest. Hamilton's 100th off in second. Ocon just gone third. Verstappen's coming around the last corner, I believe. He's about to come around the last corner. And Leclerc's gone third, and Verstappen's gone purple.
Oh, I told you to get pole. I know it's a long way off the end. I'm still on like 8 minutes, but it's very close between the Mercedes. Actually, it's like
Yeah, I wouldn't call it just yet.
yeah, it's 0.013 seconds.
Yeah, this is the closest they've ever been, so which makes a change.
Yeah, I don't know if you watched it, but they were F1 did a live stream yesterday showing the 2011 Grand Prix of the Nurburgring. I watched like the first bit of it. It's very different, like those cars back then.
That's why Hamilton beautiful. No, Hamilton ran the outside of Alonso.
Yeah, so
Beautiful.
Verstappen's fastest, Albon's fourth, Leclerc is fifth.
Noah's seventh and Science eighth.
Yeah, and Perez. Yeah, it's
Right,
Perez. What's
yes,
Perez for you?
where Hamilton's. Yeah, that's where he's lost it there. Just a little bit
What happened?
pear-shaped. He was just a little bit, just losing the back end a bit coming out of the hairpin. So that's where Hamilton's lost a couple of tenths.
Well,
So
even then,
like I'm saying, he's not Hamilton. He's got time in there.
the top three are separated by less than a tenth. Less than a tenth.
I still say that Mercedes have got something, because just by looking at that mistake, I think there's a couple of tenths there, and if there's a couple of tenths there for Hamilton, it surely be there for Bottas.
Oh, come on. No, how do you know they're not saving something as well? You don't, do you? You don't know if Red Bull saving something.
I don't see why they shouldn't. They've got to just try and. I mean, it's for them to prove that they're up there.
You know what'll be interesting?
Before they've been 2 or 3 tenths before slower.
Do you know what'll be interesting? I don't know. Maybe it was. Anyway, if you that back straight, that's where people have spun. It'd be interesting to see if people like spin there in the race or during qualifying or something, because it looks like it's a lot slipperier at the beginning of that straight.
Well, it
The
wouldn't
home
matter
straight.
if someone spins round at the hairpin, because he doesn't listen to yellow flags, does he?
Who?
Verstappen.
Hamilton doesn't either.
Excuse me. I've
Why do
never
you think he got that penalty in Monza? Why do you think he got that penalty in Monza?
That's called going into a pit lane that was closed, right? And that was after the team told him to box, knowing that the pit lane was closed.
He should have noticed. He should notice. He should challenge them.
Right, but I'm sorry, when you've got someone in barriers at the last corner, you see the car in front of you in the barriers, you see 2 yellow flags, and then you put your foot on the floor and don't keep your foot on the floor. That is just deciding, I don't care if I spin off and hit that guy in the barriers, right, and cause an injury, right, or causing injury to a marshal. I just care about setting the fastest lap time, especially if I've already set the fastest lap time. I'm already on pole. And then the only time he was going to get punished is because he admitted it.
I love Verstappen, you don't, clearly.
No, but the thing is, he admitted it and made it sound like it was a complete joke.
Verstappen's much faster than Hamilton, in my opinion, if they were given the same car.
If you're going to joke about safety, you can get out the sport right now. Because safety is no joke.
Yeah, but Hamilton isn't that safe either. I'm not saying Verstappen is safe by any means, but they're all safe. They're all safe.
But
he's taken a few more chances.
Yeah, and do you know what? Hamilton used to be like at him at one stage, right? And do you know what the FIA did with him? Punish him no end, right? And in the end, he looked at himself and made himself better. And that's why I say Leclerc is going to win a championship quicker than freaking Verstappen.
No, I think Verstappen.
No, because Leclerc learns from his mistakes. Verstappen thinks he knows it all.
He's faster. Verstappen is faster. No one will win a championship whilst Verstappen. It will be like Hamilton. It will be like Hamilton and Vettel. Verstappen, maybe even when the 2022 regulations come out, he will be the fastest. He will be. No one can beat him. It might be 7. It might be 8. It might be 9 years when this happens. It'll probably be 4 because the new engine regulations come out in 2026. Verstappen will be unstoppable, like they have been in the hybrid era.
They come out in 2022.
If they have a good car in 2022, Hamilton, goodbye. You're never going to win anything again.
I wouldn't say that.
If they even have like the second fastest car by a bit closer than what we have right now.
I'll tell you what. When they've been at the same level that the last 2 times Hamilton's beaten him without fail. And I'm talking about when the cars have been on the same level and it's been a duel between the 2 of them. Right, you can't. Right, I'm not gonna sit. I'll sit here and say, right, Verstappen could quite well challenge Hamilton. He's got the speed. I'm not denying that. Right, but unless he gets his head out of his arse, right, and starts like looking at himself like Leclerc does when he makes a mistake, and stop acting like it's one big joke and he knows it all, he is not going to get himself better and better and better. Right, and he's not going to make that.
Yeah, but he thinks he's the best already. He thinks he's the best already,
Yeah,
and given the right car, he could be.
Because at the moment, right, what he's done compared to some other drivers in the sport is nothing.
He goes slower in the first sector slower than Verstappen in the first sector.
Goes fastest, Bottas. By
Yep.
and Verstappen is 3rd. Good night. Thank you very much. Told you they had something under their sleeve. I told you, first corner that Hamilton made that mistake on, lost him 2 tenths. Those are the 2 tenths. And he's behind Bottas. But you cannot sit there and say Verstappen's going to do this, this, and this, and not include Hamilton in the conversation. Because again and again and again, Hamilton, right, as much as I've seen Verstappen have a good go, and has been just as good, and at times have beaten him.
He's got a slower car. And anyway, Bottas is going to win this race. He's got pole. The pole sitter is going to win this race. I think.
You can't say that. You can't say that because we've had no running, no long ones, no short ones. There's hardly any data. The cars are all different to when they were in 2013. The strategy's all different. You can't just say, "Oh, the pole sitter is going to win this one."
Well, Leclerc's on him. I want to see what he.
Fourth is, and again, Leclerc, right? Again, Leclerc's 4th in a Ferrari.
Oh, that's great.
That shouldn't even be in the top 10.
Yeah, but Verstappen is faster. Leclerc. Leclerc is fast. Leclerc is faster than Hamilton. In, like, let's say the next few years, Leclerc will be faster than Hamilton. He is not faster now. Verstappen is faster than Hamilton now.
Give me a break.
Verstappen is faster than Hamilton.
What?
If you look for one lap, Verstappen will be faster.
No.
Yes.
No.
If you gave him the same car, he'd be faster.
No. No. No.
Yes.
No. 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 No.
I'm not even thinking, like, Albon isn't even that bad of a driver. Like, he's a decent driver. And he's, like, that's ridiculous how much faster Verstappen is than him.
Even the Lord doesn't agree because it's raining here.
Is it?
You wind him up. Look. Oh, great.
Who's faster in the wet then? Hamilton's faster in the wet? I'll give you that. But on the dry conditions,
no. I'm sitting here saying they are. Look, I'm not gonna. Right. Look, not even stats back it up. Right. On current pace at the minute, I am gonna say, right, they are very close. Right. I'm not gonna sit here and say Verstappen's not a fast driver. Right. That is bonkers. Right.
Who would win it?
I'm not gonna say that. Right. Because that would be bonkers, right? They are very similar on pace, but at the minute, right, when you put it all down to it, right, Hamilton at the minute is producing more better results than Verstappen, right? Whether it's maybe not, right? This is also you're also talking about a driver, yes, that started a McLaren, but a McLaren that never won the constructors' title in 2007, 2008 against a Ferrari that was faster.
So when you win your first race as like a 17-year-old in your first race for your first team, like when
Yeah,
you're super young, you're not talented.
So when Hamilton won his first race, that doesn't mean right he was then better than Raikkonen. He was then faster than Alonso, his teammate. I didn't come out and say that then. No way. No way. I would not, because Alonso, his teammate, was the world champion and was doing
He
more
was
better than him at
beating
the time.
Ricardo. He was beating Ricardo, who I have to say is a lot faster than Bottas.
To be honest, 2018, if Ricardo didn't have so many frigging engine limit blow-ups every race, you'd actually find China, Verstappen should have won, but instead he the satellite signals fine. Well, yeah, but Ricardo, the reason, do you know the reason Ricardo won in China in 2018? Because Verstappen couldn't realise that the door was shut. Right? Same as Ricardo won in Monaco because Verstappen stuck his car in the wall.
Doesn't matter if
Right?
you're on pole. Doesn't matter if you're.
Ricardo won the race at the most vital time. He went pole, right? Because it's at the most vital race of all, Monaco, which meant he won in a car that was 5 seconds slower because he had no power unit, right? Which then plagued him all the way through the season. And I guarantee you, and again, right?
Well,
Who
Bottas
got
got pole, and that
pole at the two? Who got pole at
stayed.
Mexico in 2018 at the two? Ricardo, right?
Okay, but
So
this is
can't say
if we
they're
look
in any
currently, I think Verstappen is very fast. I'm okay. He could have gone
I'm not
much faster.
saying he's very fast. He's a very fast driver, but you can't say he's better than Hamilton.
I think it's his driving style is so good. It's so much better than he can control the tire wear. He can control the tire. He's fast enough over one lap. He
But then,
is
but then
everything. He's better than Hamilton.
this is the thing. This is why they're so close because
Apart from over
Hamilton
the wet.
can do that job.
Hamilton is better with traction. I must say that Hamilton is better with traction, and that's what Verstappen needs to learn. Even in a Red Bull with such a good rear end, he's still not as good with traction as Mercedes.
That comes with
Hamilton. As Hamilton.
that comes with age, right?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Because you like as a youngster, you get too trigger happy on the accelerator.
Yeah.
Right? As you get older, you get, and that's why then Hamilton has been able to make tires last so much longer than they should do. So that's why.
No.
Yes. Monaco 2019. Why? If that was the case, Verstappen would have overtaken him in Monaco if Hamilton didn't make those
It's
tires last.
Monaco. You can't overtake.
He made him
Any
last.
other circuit, he would have won that race. Any other circuit, he would have won that race.
I can't be having
Any other circuit.
right.
Any other circuit.
Just like Grand Prix as well. He made him last so many laps longer in Mexico as well in 2019.
Look how slow he is in those laps. Look how slow he is when he's. Look how slow he is. Look how slow he is when he's preserving tires.
He's not.
He's so much slower.
Watch Grand Prix, mate, because he ain't. Because he's usually at the front.
Yeah, but
people would undercut him.
If it wasn't Monaco, Verstappen
I'm not
would
talking about just Monaco. There have been numerous races where he's done it as well.
I think that Hamilton is slower than Verstappen on most tracks. That's all I'm saying. Because we're going to disagree, but I'd just like to say that Hamilton has come second behind Valtteri Bottas today.
Hi guys, sorry about that. Like the internet has just gone. Like I'm now on 4G because like the heavens are open where I am. Like it was having a nice, interesting debate about the F1. Right, but I do apologise. But yeah, the session is over anyway. Right, Bottas is on pole position. Hamilton is second, but still with a very good chance of getting that one win he needs, right, to make himself, as I just turn this round, put this full screen, right, see my beautiful face, right, full up face, right, yeah, so, yeah, thanks for tuning in, I'll be back with England versus Belgium at 4:40, right, uh, but yeah, Bottas pole, Hamilton second, hopefully Hamilton can get past and work the strategy to his advantage. Right, who knows what the strategy is going to be? There's been hardly any running, so we don't know what's going to go on. But great.
Well,
I right, yeah,
wait,
my internet's gone here, mate. So I'm on 4G, so I'm gonna have to
no,
wrap this up quickly.
okay. No, I'm not gonna argue. I just thought when your internet went, you hung up on me because you were annoyed at me or something.
No, 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 no. My internet's like gone up the creek, right? Because the heavens are opened and it's like a thunderstorm here. So
Hopefully that goes
yeah,
over
but
the German Grand Prix tomorrow. I'll hang up or leave
yeah,
whatever.
I'll be back for the England Belgian game at 4:40. Hopefully internet's all sorted by then. But until then, stay safe, stay well, right, and